back to Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. I'm Michael Dougherty, sometimes referred to as the Silver Fox by Cary Quashen, who's sitting right here beside me.
And other people.
But
we'll leave it at that.
Cary, we're talking about 13 tips for keeping your teenager out of trouble. I bet you could come up with more than 13. So far, we have looked at the basics, really counting, letting your teen know that they are loved unconditionally. And number 2, let your teenager know what you expect of them, including those places, those issues that are not negotiable and the ones that are. And now number 3, invest in your relationship. Spend time together having fun. Listen to your teens' thoughts, goals, fears, and questions. Show them that you care about what they say and what they think. Cary, you talk about this all the time.
I know, till I turn purple, and we can talk about it just a little more today, because you all hear me saying this all the time. Spend time with your kids. Let me say it again. Spend time with your children. They're worth it. The average parent in this country spends between 2 and 10 minutes with their kids. From 12 up.
That hurts.
2 to 10 minutes. Is that insane?
That is.
I mean, listen, think about this for a second. The last thing a 13 or 14-year-old kid, or a 12 or an 18 or even a 20-year-old kid does before they go to sleep is they turn off whatever TV is on or whatever music is on, and they check their social media. Last thing they do. So they're actually going to sleep with their friends. True? 99% of the time. The first thing they do when they wake up in the morning before they use the restroom is check their social media. So now let me think this through. They go to sleep with their friends and they wake up with their friends. Yes?
Yes.
Think peer pressure serious? They get up, get dressed, go into the kitchen, bathroom, living room, wherever you're at, and you got them for about a minute, right? And then they go to school. They're with who? Their friends again for how many hours? 6, 8 hours? And they come home. In most homes, if there's a mom even living together, they're both at work. So who's waiting for little Johnny? Everybody says nobody. That's very, very far from true. Everybody. If not in person, social media again. So now they're with their friends when they go to sleep, when they wake up at school, when they come home from school. We come home. How was your day, Michael?
It was good, Cary.
Any homework?
I did it.
And are you hungry?
I ate.
And bang, what do they do? Right back into their bedroom. What are they doing?
And now it's even worse because they've got Pokemon Go.
Right, but they're on social media again.
Yes.
So we have 2 or 10 minutes with our kids, and we think that's great. And by the way, if you want to talk to your kid, or if your kid wants to talk to you, they're probably texting you from their bedroom.
Well, you remember the commercial that was on not too long ago where the dad's sitting between his 2 daughters, and the 2 daughters on the couch, and the 2 daughters are texting each other.
I mean, I go to restaurants and everybody's on their social media. The dads are doing whatever they're doing. The moms are checking Facebook to see how many likes they got, and the kids are texting her on Facebook or whatever it is they're on, Twitter.
I have to tell you, that's one of my pet peeves. I just think that's so disgusting because, you go down there to have dinner. Why don't you just put those away and have dinner?
Well, you know what? People are asking me, why are we in such crisis today? Why are so many kids using drugs at a younger age? It's so freaking simple to figure that out. There's 3 categories of kids, Michael. Category number 1, no matter what kind of a mom or dad you are, your kid is a level-headed kid. They're going to go to school, get good grades, take care of business, and stay away from trouble. The next category of kids, this is the smallest category. I want people to hear that. This is the smallest, is high-risk, high-maintenance kids. No matter what you do, they're going to use drugs, get in trouble, fight, drive fast, live hard, that kind of thing. Those kids really need a lot of structure and discipline and support and love. The next category, this is the largest category of children there is, period, is what you call the fence sitters. What does that exactly mean? All those goofy things that you hear people say. Families that play together. Families that eat together. Families that pray together. Those kids do good. Because they're involved with their family. When they're getting ready to do something they shouldn't do, they feel guilty. Problem is, they're fence sitters. So we don't have them for dinner. And we're not playing with them. And we're not going to churches or things with them like other people do or we should be doing. Meaning we got them 2 or 10 minutes, they're with their friends, and that peer pressure now is going to take over. Those are the kids that we're losing today. Those are the kids that are using drugs at a younger age that would never have used before. So what does that say? Spend time with your kids.
That's
Give them
number 3.
reasons to say no. Period.
That's number 3. Invest in your relationship.
Invest
Spend time.
in your
You
kids.
got to.
You have to.
Moving on. Number 4, encourage him or her to develop healthy outside interests. Sports are wonderful, participating in music, theater, clubs, all of that. And here's why. Because it helps build self-esteem, and healthy sense of self-esteem can keep kids from getting into trouble.
And you know what, Mike? Sometimes you got to bounce that around a little bit. You could put them in football and find out, well, you know what, they're not really good at football. It's not their passion.
Yeah.
And then you try baseball. Well, it's not really their passion either. You try horseback riding. Bang, they love it.
Yeah.
Or karate, and they're in love.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of look to see where they fit and belong and what they really like.
Yeah, my daughter thought she might like playing a flute and band, and she did that for a few months and said, it's really not my thing.
My kid did that too.
Did she?
And didn't like it either.
Yeah, well, I played trumpet. I loved it. I did really well with it all through school, first chair first, and had the opportunity to play professionally, but it just wasn't her thing. But you know what her thing became? Drama. She loved it. She did really well with it. Really well.
Cool. And my kids the same thing. We tried, the average, the soccers and the whatever, the football, the baseball, which none of them really hooked into. But the boys got into that martial arts, and they're still into it.
And your daughter does the horse?
Yeah, and they're 2nd degree and 3rd degree black belts, and my kid tried everything, and when she fell into the horseback thing, and she's 18, and she's very, very good.
Very good.
Let me put it to you that way.
Here's number 5. Help your teenager develop responsibilities. A teen with responsibilities will be more mature, more reliable, and have a higher self-esteem than one without responsibilities. Gosh, Cary.
We shouldn't do everything in the world for them? We should let them be responsible for their own stuff?
They should probably make up their own bed. They should clean up their own room.
I need to, I guess...
Encourage him to develop healthy outside interests.
Yeah.
I'm repeating myself so that everybody can catch up with what we're saying.
Yeah, but again, and like we said earlier, it's kind of you might have to fish around a little bit to figure out where they fit and what they like. So fish around. They're worth it.
Number 5, I'm going to repeat it again. Help your teenager develop responsibilities. Mm-hmm. You just got to do it. Stop doing everything for them, Mom, Dad. Number 6, look in the mirror and practice saying no. Oh, that's a great one. Okay, you know this applies to you if you have trouble saying no.
Why is it so hard for parents to say no?
Well, I asked my son that. He had a real hard time saying no to his daughter, and he said, I just don't want to tell her no. And I said, well, it's easier to tell her no than the things you'll have to tell her if she gets into trouble doing things.
Yeah, but you're right, but parents don't look at it that way too. They don't want to fight with them. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to be bothered with it, and that's pretty sad.
Yeah.
And even sadder is they don't want their kids to be mad at them.
Oh, there you go.
By the way, parents, you're not your kid's friend. You're their parents.
That's right. Be their parent first. Be their friend later.
Exactly.
Now I'm friends with our daughter who's grown up and
Yeah, and now you can be.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still your kid. You'll never kind of be equal. You'll always be dad. You'll always have the knowledge that she needs. Mm-hmm. But you can at least buddy up now. She's older and she's taking care of her own world.
They've got to learn to say no. You have got to learn to say no. It's not going to hurt them. That's the thing.
No.
It's painless. They may not
Well, I
like
don't know
it.
about painless. It can be pretty painful when you say no and they don't want to hear it.
Mentally, physically.
Exactly, but it's a lot less painless if you say no and you stick to your boundaries now when they're young.
Now, number 7, learn how to ask the right, and these are sometimes hard, but the right questions of your teen. And don't be afraid to pick up the phone and verify what you're being told. Cary, you've talked about this before.
Yeah, some mom called me up last night and was complaining about the kid, and the kid said she was at somebody's house. Mom didn't believe it, and I said, really? She said, yeah, I don't trust her. I think she's with this guy. I said, it's very simple. She has a cell phone? She said, yes. I said, have her snap a picture and send it to you right now. So we have a lot of ways we can find things out, right?
Oh, absolutely. But, I can hear some of the parents right now listening to this going, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I'm not going to ask my child to take a picture and send it to me. Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Well, no, I got a better idea. Stay home and be worried that they're not telling you the truth.
Right. Yeah.
Lie in bed and worry.
Yeah.
That's a better thing.
I mean, you don't mind if they snap a picture of a burger they're eating and sending it to you, right? Just take a picture of where you are and send it to me.
Maybe they're eating a burrito instead.
Number 8, learn how to ask the right questions of your teen's friends and parents. You've talked about this before. Yeah. Going someplace, are you as a parent satisfied with the supervision that's going to be taking place somewhere if you don't know the parents?
You know, when my kids were growing up, it always seemed to amaze me, especially when they were younger, 12, 11, 13, whatever age, when they wanted their friends to sleep over, but their friends' parents never called. It always interested me at best, is why aren't they interested? Why aren't they worried about that? So you really should be checking in on your kids, especially when you're young, because if you're not checking in on them when they're young, it becomes nearly impossible when they're older.
I like this. It continues on by saying not all parents are as vigilant as others. You can offer to help supervise. You can offer to take over food, but keep it friendly, but be clear. There's nothing wrong with that. And if your child says, I don't want you over there, so what?
Yeah, you're the parent, not their friend.
Exactly.
And if your kid's going to be mad at you, that's fine. Hey, you know what? This is to all parents. Do you like your kids always? I doubt it. Do you love them always? Yes.
Yes.
But you don't have to like them at the moment. You don't have to like their behaviors. You could still love them.
And now continuing on with 13 tips for keeping your teenager out of trouble. Number 9 on the hit parade, be smart about cell phone and internet use. Cell phones can be your friend and help you and your teen stay in touch, but they can also be abused. Teens' phones is the only method of contact. Parents can be caught unaware. You don't want that to be the case. Have a good sense of what they're doing on the internet and consider using some blocking methods if available.
There's a lot going on in that internet, as we all know. There's a lot of people out there scrolling around and very dangerous. And by the way, I think almost every kid has a smartphone now. And for parents, type in the word porno in your cell phone and see what your kids at 12 years old probably watch every day. Just so you know, and I'm not telling you to take their phones away, but what I am telling you is we need to have conversations with our children about everything at a younger age today than ever before. Drugs, sex, and all that kinds of stuff, because it's all here. So if we don't teach our kids, they're going to learn from this. If we don't teach them how to respect their bodies, they're going to learn from this.
Cary, I have to tell you something. I've mentioned to you this before,
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mentioned this to you before. We had the Teen Scene Unplugged that we did with the city, right? And Larry Shallett from COC and I were together one time on the Teen Scene Unplugged resource fair. And we were handing out packages of information. And one of the things that was in the package was a card. And what it did was it gave you the description of what the codes mean that teenagers use, right?
That, yes.
And I remember saying it to one of the ladies. They said, you're going to especially want to use this card because it tells you it's a code for what they're saying on their cell phones. And her teenage daughter was with her, and she started grabbing at it, trying to take the code card out of her mother's hand, and her mother wouldn't give it to her. Her teenage daughter did not want her to know what she was saying.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's why those symposiums that we do are so important. In fact, we're having one this month. It's going to be at the Sports Center thing, and I'll be one of the participants.
Well, that's right. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, so we'll give more information next week.
What's the topic about?
It's teens and what's going on with kids today.
Okay,
every parent of every teen should be in that room.
Oh, then that's one that our listeners want to go to.
Yes,
yeah.
And we're also this year we're keeping it open to kids and parents, but every parent of a teen should be there with their kids.
So number 10. On 13 tips for keeping your teenager out of trouble. Number 10, know the facts about drug and alcohol use and abuse.
Pretty simple, guys. Know the facts. The internet's got a wealth of information, and I'll tell you what, when your children or whatever wants to look at the internet, they're going to go to a site that'll tell them all the positives. There's also other sites that'll really give you the real truth on the negatives. Get educated.
Yeah, and here we go. We talked about it at the beginning of the show. They're headed back to school.
That's right. When does school actually start? Now that my kids are out of school. Isn't it like a couple weeks from now?
It's coming right up, I
or
think.
this week, I think.
It's coming right up.
Yeah, it's coming.
Number 11. Teenagers feel emotions twice as intensely as adults, and this is a developmental fact. Intense emotional responses can impact their behavior, and so parents need to encourage teens to have appropriate outlets for emotional tension. Physical activity is particularly effective, and that's a good thing to know, because with everybody just sitting around on their cell phones, they need to get out and get active.
But you know what you said, intensified, it really is. When you have a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever age your kid is, and they come home and they think they're in love, and we say, oh, it's not really love, it's infatuation. It's love on steroids, because they don't quite know how to deal with those kind of emotions and feelings that they're having. It's so overwhelming. So when things are good, they're great. When things start falling apart, it's dangerously bad.
Yeah.
So we really need to understand when our kids say, I'm hurting, I don't know how to deal with this, I'm in love. It's true. Don't discount that.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that gets teens into trouble, is because their emotions run so high. And it's one of those things where teens, if it's enough for them, they can start thinking about hurting themselves.
Every day we lose kids in this country
do.
because they don't know how to cope with feelings. How do people grow up and turn from kids to adults? By dealing with feelings. But I tell you, it's not an easy thing, and for some people it's a whole lot harder than others. Doesn't mean that they're weak or bad, it just means
now number 12
harder.
number 12 on our list, Cary, this is going to hurt some parents. Expect to give up your weekend.
Huh? Where did that thing come from?
Where did that come from? Being a parent doesn't happen all the time, but you may not know exactly when you're going to be asked to give up some of your freedom to help on a weekend activity, right?
I'll tell you what. You know, I like going out and doing what I like to do now. But when my daughter's home and she's not wanting to spend it with her boyfriend or whatever, and she calls me in her room and I get to hang out and lay down, I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world.
Oh, no way.
Those are moments that you can never get again.
That's right.
So take advantage of your children. To me, my priority in my whole world right now is my kids. And if I can spend good quality time with them, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And you know, one of these days, your child's going to be grown up and you're going to say, what happened? I missed all that. Why did I miss all that?
That's right. You can play later, but right now, the most important thing is family.
Expect to give up your weekends and do so happily. Of course, once in a while, you have to say, hold it, I need some time myself. Number 13.
Take care of yourself, exactly.
Absolutely. Number 13, this is the last one. 13 tips for keeping your teenager out of trouble. Earn your teenager's respect by your good, honorable, ethical, and respectable behavior. You have to set the example.
Do what I say, not what I do, does not work. If you don't want your kid to smoke cigarettes, don't smoke cigarettes. If you don't want your kids to drink and use drugs, don't drink and use drugs. If you don't want your kids to drive 80 miles an hour
while they're texting,
don't drive 80 miles. If you don't want your kid to crash because they're texting, don't drive and text. You are their role model.
That's right.
What you do is what they see.
I'm going to give you an example of a bad role model. I pulled on the road the other day, and I noticed this lady driving kind of erratically on my right-hand side, and I could tell she was texting, but as I drove up closer to her, she had the cell phone right on her steering wheel, and she's texting away. She has no idea where she is. I beeped my horn at her. She was so out of it, she looked on the opposite side of her car, away from me. She had no idea it was me that beeped
Mike,
at
that
her.
happened to me yesterday. I'm sitting at a red light. It turns green, and the car in front of me is texting. And I waited over 10 seconds before I honked. They're oblivious.
Bizarre.
I know. And by the way, there was kids in the car.
Ooh, so that goes
great,
completely
great.
against what we're saying here.
Exactly.
Earn your teenager's respect by doing it the right thing yourself.
You know what? Be your kid's role model, man.
Oh, yeah.
Be what you want your kid to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
You want your kid to be an honorable, respectful, decent human being, then you got to be honorable, respectful, and decent yourself.
That's right. And you know what? One of the cool things in life, if you have a child and they get, a little older, and you ask them, hey, tell me who some of your childhood heroes were. Who are your heroes today? When your child looks at you and said, well, Dad, you're one of my heroes.
Right.
Boy, that just melted me.
But Mike, it should be that way in every home.
It should be.
And it's unfortunately not.
No.
But it should be. Mom, Dad, you should be your kids' heroes. You should be their role model.
Hey, we're going to be taking a break pretty soon, and when we end up coming back from the break, we have to talk about something we haven't talked about in a while, and that's these ignition interlock devices.
Let's do that, but let's go ahead and take a break. This is Families in Action on your hometown station, AM 1220.
Welcome back to Families in Action, right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. I'm Michael Dougherty, the Silver Fox, along with Cary Quashen. And today we've been talking about... And Justin, our board operator, that's right. Today we've been talking about those 13 tips for keeping your teenager out of trouble. You've got lots of ammunition and tools to work with now to be a better parent. But we need to talk about something, Cary, that we have...
Not a better parent, a more educated parent. I like educated better than better.
Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody can be a better parent, even a great parent.
I know, you're right.
Let's argue about that.
Okay. Next week.
Cary, here's what we got to talk about. We haven't talked about this in a while, and that's the ignition interlock devices.
If you look at statistics, and I don't have them with me, but we've talked about them so many times, the amount of people that lose their lives because of drunk driving, the amount of adolescents that lose, and teenagers that lose their life because of drunk driving, the amount of people that go into institutions, prisons, jail cells, psych wards, rehabs because of alcohol, the amount of, it's incredible. So we have an idea.
Oh, we have a great idea.
I don't think we're the only ones with this idea. It's out there right now, but we really want to push this idea. We want to stop drunk driving. And we have a way that can at least kick the numbers right out the field.
Well, we already know things like rapes. We already know that if you take away alcohol, 50% of the rapes would evaporate.
At least.
They would be gone. At least.
No, at least 50.
So it's a big deal. Now, Mothers Against Drunk Driving were lobbying for this for a long time, and the state of California became a test ground. Some of the counties here, Los Angeles County was one of them. Anyone who was convicted of a drunk driving a charge had to have installed an interlock ignition device, which basically is a breathalyzer
that
it's
you
in your
blow
car.
in before you drive.
You puff
your
into
car
it.
Will start.
Right. And if you haven't been drinking, you put your key in ignition and it starts, no problem.
If you had a drink,
it's still going to start.
If you had one too many drinks,
if you're over the limit, it will not start. Your car won't start.
So we're not even saying we don't want people to drink. We're just saying we don't want people to get drunk and drive.
That's right.
We want to stop you from getting arrested. We want to stop you from crashing. We want to stop you from killing yourself or somebody else. And if everybody that got into a car had to go before that car would start, imagine the people that would not get arrested, the lives that would be saved. It would be a different world.
It seems to me like in that scheme of things, it's a no-brainer.
So we want
them in every car.
Every car has the dealership.
Not just
make it universal.
Make it universal. Yeah. One of those things you need to do to start your car. Now, why would that bother you?
It shouldn't. Does it bother you to take the key out of your pocket and put it in the car?
When my kids are getting in their car and driving, if I knew for sure that people weren't drunk, I'd sure feel better.
Yeah.
Last night, somebody almost took me out on the 5 freeway. They were so drunk behind me that they were about 3 inches from my car, and then they zoomed around me and almost hit 3 other people, and they were gone.
We all need car insurance to be able to drive. We all need, there's a few things that we require.
We have to take that test to get the driver's license.
Gotta have a license to drive.
Which, by the way, we should remind people is a privilege, not a right.
I know. I can't even tell you how many people in my lifetime I know that either got arrested, crashed and died, or got killed because of a drunk driver.
Oh.
I mean, I'm talking 3 kids that I know that got killed that were sober kids.
And there's I know.
Hit them.
I told you the story about the teenager I went to church with who was a football player. He was a star athlete. He was hit by a drunk driver. And his brain was injured so severely that he just couldn't function by himself anymore.
Now,
How sad is that?
If that person that went to a bar and drank, got into his car, turned the key, blew into the thing, and the car wouldn't start, that person would be fine.
That's right.
And that's what we want to stop. We don't want any more people dying because of drunk drivers. Now, we can't figure out a way yet to stop them from drug driving, but drunk driving, we can. There's an easy solution for that. Mike, it's been a great show, and I think we've given great information. And Justin, as always, we appreciate all your help, and we really love when you jump in and give us some feedback.
He's very passionate about this.
No, he really is, and he's a great guy. And hey, Mike, guess what? It's time.
It's that time. Time to say goodbye.
Close it out.
All right. Hey, this is Families in Action right here on KHTS AM 1220, your hometown station. Join us next week, same time, same station.